Hello, again. Due to certain circumstances, which will remain undisclosed, the original upload of this video had to be taken down. We here at Planet Tyro would just like to apologize and thank everyone that commented previously on the original video. As shown, this video got a lot of views and was pretty controversial. We are reposting it because our thoughts are still valid on the topic, and many people did actually appreciate the discussion. Please, again, like, comment, and share to keep this video in conversation, because some of us do like to be critical, regardless of any possible backlash. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget, you're awesome.
Welcome back to Planet Tyro, people. I'm your host, Donald Wonder. I'm already laughing, man, because I already know what's coming. People, I'm about to finish talking about the Legend of Korra.
The Legend of Korra? I hated your review for The Legend of Korra. You guys are so nitpicky. The Legend of Korra is the greatest show ever made. And you guys went through it for 2 hours talking about, criticizing it like you don't know anything. It's the best show ever. I don't want to watch this from you. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know a lot of you guys felt like that because we got a lot of negative feedback on our critical review for Legend of Korra because we didn't think it was that great. And now I've finished a lot of the other 3 seasons and I still think it's a bloody mess. But I don't hate it and I actually do have some positive things to say about it. So if you want to hear a constructive review without sounding too condescending, then please watch. If you're already one of them Korra can do no wrong people, then I automatically expect a lot of, which is fine. But people, I'm just gonna tell it, or I'm gonna call it how I see it.
Tyro Media.
Alright people, so we're gonna finish off talking about the Legend of Korra. Okay people, here's some disclaimers. First of all, now this review is only gonna cover seasons 2, 3 and 4 because we already did one whole podcast, me and you once say, about Legend of Korra for, what, 2 hours? Where we broke down every single episode and we did scrutinize it with a fine-tooth comb. And I'm not going to do that this time because we don't do long-ass podcasts anymore. And to be honest with you, I just, you know, it was fun to do it. We didn't just do it because we hated it. It was fun. And honestly, we could do it again to go through every single point, but nobody, honestly, it just comes out we're hating. And I don't hate I can tell you right now, I don't hate the Legend of Korra. I don't think it's terrible, but I definitely don't think it's as great as everyone else says. And that might be because I'm someone who watches a lot of animated series, anime, which do a lot more of animation than the Americans do, a lot more adult or more constructive, complex animation than Americans do. So I keep on reminding people, I come from this show from a different perspective, from a more, I don't want to say enlightened, that sounds way too arrogant, but I want to say I'm coming from a way more open-minded perspective. This isn't the first animated show I'm seeing that deals with adult concepts, and that's why I'm critical. And to be clear, these guys said themselves, this show was not directed towards children, it was meant for a more adult audience. That's why most of the characters are not kids, unlike the Airbender. But ironically, even that's a bit of a contradiction, which I'll get into later. But first of all, let me just say, for those of you who don't want to listen to the 2-hour podcast, here's my thoughts on season 1, Air. The first season, I can tell you right now, all of them, had the best concept. The concept of non-benders and benders and that being like a problem socially makes perfect sense. Amon was a perfect antagonist. I think Amon could have been the antagonist for the whole 4 seasons because he was a revolutionary, right? And as we'll get to later, they're gonna be more revolutionaries down the road, but he didn't seem like someone who wanted to kill. He seemed like someone who wanted to change the status quo. And he, as a villain, I thought he brought the right sense of terror, and he was a great antagonist for the show. What I didn't like the show was how they resolved it, and how Korra was just the thing. It was just too straightforward for me, and I understand now in hindsight that yes, it was only meant to be a mini series, and yes, they didn't have a lot of time to write it. But yes, it wrapped up too neatly for me. Korra had everything handed to her. She was overpowered as hell. You know, being an avatar, you can ask for avatars as well. To be honest with you, that just is too easy for me. I can't enjoy a character's growth if you just have to go into your own mind and get the answers, or go into your own mind and get all the powers. And then it ended like, I guess in a sense, best to see the first season as a movie, like a Disney movie, because that's the way it was written. But even Disney has more ups and downs than that season had. The ending was just god awful. I hated the ending of the first season. I just thought it was way too predictable and way too it just left a bad taste in my mouth. And honestly, you guys heard it, I really didn't like it, and I thought it was a fail. But I understand the production issues and blah 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 blah. So that's all we need to know about the first season. That's the condensed version of what I thought of the first season. Funny enough, the consensus with the fans for the second season is that they hated the second season. A lot of people hated the second season more than they hated the first season. And I can see why, I really can. It was to do with Korra's uncle manipulating her to open up the spirit realms. And I just want to say, it was boring. Most of the second season was just boring. But again, I didn't hate it. I just thought half of it was a waste. I just can't stand Bolin. His comedy is just so juvenile, so childish. For someone like him, for someone his age to be like that all through every season, he's such a buffoon. It just killed me. But saying that, the whole thing with Bolin and them making those Ed Wood type of movies, that was genuinely funny. Because seeing them doing those lame effects with those old cartoon movies, but honestly, the whole plot line with the anti-airbender was so passe, so lame. It wasn't inspired at all. A lot of people, the thing I loved about season 2, by the way, was that 2 episodes look back at the first Avatar, is it Avatar 1? When I watched it, I was like, this should have been the whole series. I mean, why? It was great, don't get me wrong. Those 2 episodes were great, don't get me wrong, but I wish that was just, I wish Korra was a place with a whole series about Avatar 1. But to be honest with you, it was a good supplement to Korra, and it helped Korra get more character development. But again, Korra in the season, Korra is just a meat and potatoes gal. All she does is fight, and that's all she can do. And honestly, I don't hate Korra because that's how they wrote her. They wrote her to be that kind of person. The thing I liked about the second season was that she kind of failed because she gave up to her uncle, and then she had to become like this giant titan. The animation was good, and with Korra, the animation was always good. But the second season, to me, it was a fail. And most people said it was a fail. So me and the consent, I'm pretty much on the same board as everyone else for season 2. It got better at the end, but at the end of season 2, I was kind of like meh. And the only other thing that happened in season 2 was that the writers decided to destroy her links to all the previous avatars. And I thought they did that because they realized that Korra was overpowered and she wasn't getting a lot of character development. And going back into the avatars, always getting the answers, isn't a constructive way to make a character have their own growth. Don't get me wrong, even in the first series with Aang, he did that, but Korra it was just too easy for her. And for her to get the avatar state and all that stuff. But for those of you who didn't even watch the first series, you probably just didn't care. You just thought, oh, she's got all these powers, she's just awesome. But for me, story-wise, it was just meh. So anyway, let's get to season 3. Alright, so in season 3, it continues off from season 2 where Korra, I think the spirit world emerged with the real world in whatever Korra universe is, the real world is there. And we got to see the effects. Well, we didn't get to see the effects for long. We saw the trees kind of taking over the city at first, but that's dropped. And what happens is the third season is mostly about reviving the Air Nation, which is cool because even from the first season, the Air Nation don't exist. There's no more airbenders, and because Korra opened up the spirit world, now airbenders are just people just turn into airbenders, which is cool. The thing that bothers me about the season is it's split into 2. You got one half, Korra on this adventure to find the airbenders. And on the other half, you've got this team assembling to get Korra. And to be honest with you, you have to watch 8 episodes to find out what this team is actually up to. And at the end of it, they're just out to kill Korra or to end the Avatar lineage. At this point, this is the first season of Avatar now. I'm thinking the common theme for this show is like we have an antagonist that Korra has to beat, and then that's it. First season was Amon, second season was Tarlok, and this season we've got this bald head guy, this the thing with Korra is it always wastes half of its episodes building up to the second half. Every season's like the first half is just build up for the second half, and then the second half always ends in some monumental battle. It always feels off kilter. Korra isn't getting any development. Korra came into this series to learn. Korra, we need you to fight this person. Korra needs to fight, but she needs to become enlightened. She needs to be trained. But she's just been thrown from one battle to another. And 3 seasons later, there's no evolution for Korra. All there is her being thrown into situations, fights. Korra being thrown into fights. That's why this series, honestly, is still boring to me. This is just such a sore point. This guy learns how to fly because he stole something from Tenzin. Tenzin, you're meant to be like, you're the son of Aang. You never even thought of how to fly, really? And this guy figured it out? I just thought that was absolutely preposterous. Honestly, season 3 to me was just meh. You wait until the end to get that. Honestly, this whole series didn't really start for me until season 3. But I really wanted to see something happen to Korra or some character development. And that's where it happened, when she had this battle where she got traumatized. And I'm like, finally we're gonna see her evolve as a person. Oh, and Mako and Korra's relationship, I just try to ignore it because it's really just bothersome. But Korra and Asami, their friendship just seems kind of forced. Like, hey, we both dated Mako, we should be friends now. It just, to me, their friendship just seems like convenient, like it's just there. Don't get me wrong, they should be friends, but you know, I didn't mind it, but it didn't feel, it just felt kind of forced, contrived because it was there. But anyway, I know I'm nitpicking, it is what it is. I know people just enjoy it for whatever. So let's jump to season 4. Season 4 was more or less the best season because Korra's gone through the most. She's been poisoned, she's gone through this trauma. The aftermath of season 3 is still haunting her. She can't contain the Avatar state. This to me is what the show should have been about. Her, she wanted to become the Avatar. The Avatar is not just about fighting, it's about learning about yourself, and that's what the show should have been about. So why is it taking until season 4 for me to get there? That's why the show bothered me so much. There's too many characters in the show. I don't care about Mako or Bowling or all these other characters because they're just supplement to her. Korra is taking over the earth, is conquering all the nations of the earth, and she's going to take over. Korra is a good antagonist because she's not just a clear out villain. There's a reason. They explain why she is doing what she's doing. But even at the end, they kind of, oh, woe is me, I was an orphan, blah, blah, blah. So even that wasn't done properly. You know, like I said, this wasn't a review where I'm going to cherry pick every little. I'm just really trying to be fast in this review and just tell you that season 4 was the best season. But again, no, you know what? For the most part, I enjoyed season 4. I really don't have that much bad to say about it. The mecha was good. Having that giant mecha, that was cool. I love the mecha. I love the battles. All of the, on a whole, I enjoy season 4 more than the rest. But Korra, the kind of antagonist Korra is not a last boss. She's a season 2 villain. That's why when I look at this, all seasons of Korra just felt like, you know, villain of the season. And Korra was a good antagonist, but she isn't the final boss. And when the series ended, it didn't feel like the Legend of Korra. It felt like the adventures of Korra because she had literally just gone from one battle to the next, from season 1 to 4, and then she just ended up just continuing her journey. It just felt like the series was beginning where it ended because she just finally understood that I can't fight my way through every battle. And I just felt like it took 4 seasons for us to get to the point where the series is just starting. Now, that's my review to sum this whole thing up, by the end of season 4, I just felt like the show was just getting started. So a lot of it is a waste of potential. And behind the scenes, I know everything about the production issues they were having. Nickelodeon kind of cancelled the show, they had to put it on the web series, and there were so many themes. Let me just tell you now, this show had too many ideas for Nickelodeon. Too many characters, way too many characters that they needed to focus on. Bolin, Mako, Tenzin and his family, Tenzin and his children. You know, the whole thing of Mako and Korra and Osami and their relationship. Why are you trying to tackle all these things? When you look at the first series, you've got 4 characters, the main set, then you've got the antagonist, and you've got just 2 or 3. This show just, that's why I said the show was a mess, because when I look at it on a whole, they had too many ideas they were playing with, and it came up as a mess. Now the general American audience sat back and, oh, this is the Marvel animation. I've never seen this kind of storytelling before. I've never seen this kind of action before. But I have, because I watch anime, and I've seen this many a times. Some of the Americans have seen them, Cowboy Bebop, with Attack on Titan, with Trigon. You've seen this on the bigger scale. So don't get me wrong, for America, this is a step in the right direction. But this story's a mess. And when I finished Korra, I just felt very unfulfilled. Let me just get into this whole Asami and Korra thing, and how the series writers confirmed it after the series that they're a couple now. Honestly, part of me felt like their relationship, this now Korra and Asami are going to be a relationship, and oh my god, this is a marvel of animation. No one's ever touched on this subject in animation before. If you're going to do this thing where Korra's bisexual or lesbian now, honestly, I think it should be done all the way. All or nothing. Because when I look back on the series now, well, when Mako was with Asami, she kissed Mako, then Mako was cheating on her with Asami, and then her and Asami ended up at the end. It's just too messy. I'm like, why is everyone having relations with each other? If she's a bisexual character, why can't she be defined that from the beginning? If you want this to be a show about everyone finding who they are, even sexually exploring, I'm like, this is Nickelodeon. Do you really want to do that on this show? I read what they said. They said that they wanted to do it outright. They wanted to outright do it. Nickelodeon said no. These writers are very good writers, but honestly, it didn't come out well. It was vague as hell. Like, you had to have them looking at each other in the light, and I'm like, guys, it's too vague. And honestly, I felt like they did. Honestly, I hate to say it, guys. I felt it was a bit contrived. I felt like you did it just because we want to be that show that shows that we're topical. But it didn't feel natural to me. It felt like you guys just did it just because. And oh, there's foreshadowing. No, when you look back, Korra was writing Asami letters. Honestly, it still didn't feel natural. Honestly, it just didn't feel natural. I know a lot of fans and oh, this is amazing. I've never seen an anime show do this before. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not as hyped for it as everyone else. I just think it's a mess. I just don't think it was done properly. Honestly, The Legend of Korra is a disappointment, or as a whole. And yes, I'm putting it that because I'm holding it in the shadow of Avatar: The Last Airbender, because that was such a phenomenal show and it was done with children. This show was too ambitious for its own good. Nickelodeon didn't back them properly, and they had so many production issues, and it's come up as a mess. Can you sit back and enjoy it on a very platonic, superficial level? Yes. Can you just enjoy it for action? Yes. But in terms of a story, there isn't really a story. This is a story of a girl who has all the powers of airbending, who just is thrown from one battle to another, who ends up being bisexual, probably. And by the end of the series, you don't even find out. Her ties were cut with all the past avatars. The story doesn't even end to resolve how that ends. This is a snapshot of Korra's life. This isn't the legend of Korra. This is just the adventures, the 4 adventures of Korra. If this series did go on, I'm sure it would just be more of the same. More of next season, she fights another big villain. Her and Asami have a relationship, and then it breaks up. It's like, this show was not done properly. It wasn't planned out. Obviously, I know that beforehand. I don't even know why these guys had so many problems, because the show was a phenomenal success. Part of me wonders, is it because of this movie? Is it because the live action movie did so badly that they have problems with this? Nickelodeon didn't want to give them full production, or didn't tell them they were going to have 4 seasons? either way, and I've rambled on long enough about this, The Legend of Korra is not the greatest anime show of all. The only other animated shows that do complex storytelling are the superhero Marvel, DC shows. I want America to do more animated series shows like this. Overall, The Legend of Korra at best is, for me, okay. In terms of story, it's not okay. In terms of just an animated show, it's okay. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes, but being critical, it's a fucking mess. I hate to swear, because it didn't upset me. I'm just really baffled why, well, I'm not baffled, but it disappoints me so many people think it's marvelous. When I just sit back and I look at it as a story and I think, no, this story is a hodgepodge of ideas, a hodgepodge of characters, and this is a glimpse into the avatar that is Korra. So again, this isn't The Legend of Korra, this is just the Adventures of Korra. And yes, I'm very critical on it because I watched a lot of animated shows and I've just seen this done better. I know these guys can do better, and I know these guys said they're going to take a break, but next time, keep the cast smaller. Please, guys, I really just want them to go to a different network with this idea. Even though I know Nickelodeon probably hold all the rights, I just think they'll do better with a different studio that gives them free reign to explore these concepts, to write this story from beginning to end. Because Amon, or one of these bosses, could have been, one of the antagonists could have been the antagonist for the whole series if they just stuck to one idea. And me saying all this, it doesn't have to be a repeat of The Last Airbender. I don't mind Korra as a hothead. She doesn't have to be some spiritual know-it-all. But this series wasn't written well where her character has a good progression. Only the last two seasons, well, the last season, in my opinion, was the only really good one. The other three were just rush ideas, rush seasons, in my opinion. But that's all I'm going to say on that. People, this was my review or my thoughts on The Legend of Korra. Again, I just have to stress, I do not think this is the greatest show on earth. Honestly, I don't. Would I recommend The Legend of Korra to somebody? Children, yes, but even my nephew watched it and he even prefers the original series, because if you're a young teen, I don't think the series is gonna really stand out to you. Maybe if you've never watched a lot of animated shows, yes, it will look amazing from that perspective. But from my perspective, story-wise, it's just a mess. I enjoyed it here and there, but as a story, I was very disappointed with these guys that they had so many problems writing a clear narrative, because this is not a clear narrative. It's just an episodic seasonal show that doesn't even end the way you know. I feel very unfulfilled with Legend of Korra, but I know a lot of you guys love it, and you hate what I'm saying, just like you hated me and Nuance to review the first season. If me and Nuance might talk, we already spoke about it over the phone, but if we're going to do a podcast about it, you're going to see the link in this video anyway. I should have said that from the beginning, but I think I've said enough for the both of us. But people, if you watch the whole video, I appreciate it. I do. Because I guess you're open to listening to someone. I hope I was constructive, because I do not purely hate this show. I just don't think it was done right, clearly. The guys have said it themselves, that this was not done the way they wanted to do it. They basically had to make a lot of this up as it goes along. And I think that shows clearly, but a lot of Western audiences think this is a marvel of animation because they've never seen anything like this. And if that's the case, I understand. But personally, as I said a million times before, for me, it was a letdown. So people, leave your comments down below on what you think of The Legend of Korra. Good or bad, but hey, if you hate this video, if you hate my thoughts, I heard it before, it doesn't bother me. I'm open to hear every perspective, and that's what reviews are meant to do, show you different perspectives. I'm not a fan of just super fanboy loving the show for no reason. You guys know I'm as critical as this on anime, on books, on every medium, not just Korra. I'm this critical all the time. I'm trying to be fair, but at the end of the day, that was my opinion. Enough said. People, again, I appreciate your views, I appreciate your thoughts. Like, comment and subscribe if you will. And I'll see you on the next video or the next review. Take care now. Peace.